Hey, welcome back to ZK Master Tech. Today we're going to throw this engine back in this 9510R, but I'll catch you up on what I did since the last video. Last video we put injectors in this engine. I'll show you what we had to do to kind of wrap this thing up. So let's check it out. So we got the rocker covers on, got all the turbo pipes on, went ahead and got everything painted up nice and pretty, even painted the front damper that wasn't painted, it was just black, so we got it painted green. New water pump on there. The water pump I took off, it was leaking out of the weep hole, so we put a new one back on. Also, whenever I went to take the pipe off the EGR cooler here to gain some more clearance to install the engine, we were kind of having some issues with that, hitting some stuff, so I wanted to take it off before we put the engine back in. But I took the pipe off and it was leaking coolant down in this cooler and it was cracked. And it's the original EGR cooler on this thing, so it's got over 4,000 hours on it, but probably can't see it on camera, but you can see the coolant built up on the fins inside there. So I put a new EGR cooler on, but I'm waiting on the hold down straps for it. They're not in yet. So we're gonna go ahead and do that later. But for right now, we're going to pick up this engine with the telehandler and the load leveler. And then I'm gonna have to install the things that I had to take off in order to get the engine on the stand, like the ECU and some brackets. The engine mount bracket needs to go back on, things like that, fuel filters, that kind of stuff. So we'll get this engine picked up and get all that stuff installed. So right now we're getting the filler neck installed, torquing those to 37 foot-pounds. Then we'll put the ECU on, and we'll put the accessory drive bracket on. We'll throw some fuel filters on it. So I told you I was going to show you guys a new hood tool that we got. Check this thing out. So this contraption will hook the hood back here. Back of the hood will sit on this. And then the front of the hood, there's a little hooks underneath here that it sits on, and that'll allow you to pick up this hood and be able to set it down anywhere in the shop you want to set it. The only thing we're going to modify, me and Josh are going to make these rear legs adjustable, so we don't have to put blocks underneath them, because it'd be perfect for an 8R style hood, but with a 9R style hood it's a lot taller, so we're going to need to make these rear legs extend a little longer. But for right now we're just going to use blocks, so it'll actually sit on the ground and not put any pressure on the fiberglass right there. But first time using this little hood tool, and it works really awesome. Don't ask me where we got it, because the service managers found this somewhere. Not sure where they got it. It just showed up one day and said, here, use this. So, but it is a pretty cool tool. So I got the accessory drive bracket on. We got the new fuel filters on. We got the ECU mounted. We only got to hook up the chassis harness there, and then that's good to go. So this engine is ready to rock and go back in. What do you think, Josh?
Yep, let's do it, man.
Of course, we got Josh and the new apprentice, Joseph, here, gonna help me put this engine in this morning. So let's set her in. Engine around the flywheels pointing this way. Keep going. Yeah, slow. It's gotta go in like this. Well, watch that radiator, I can't see it. Come on. Maybe come this way a little bit. Yeah. Turn it. Good there. Go down now. A little bit. Yeah. Keep it like this. Go down. It's going to be really pretty close today. Can I go down like this? Yeah. We need to get, eventually we're going to line these holes up with those holes right there. So we got to get this torsional dampener tucked in under that black shield that we put on the back. I got to go into the flywheel. Can we go more towards the front?
Got about a couple inches.
We're going to need every inch.
I need to go that way.
Oh. Gotta go down.
Yep.
Tilt the cab that way.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get this bolt up. Let me get mine started first. it's in. It's tight fit, isn't it?
That was full of way more stuff than I wanted. Like, how much closer can I get? And it was like this, just sitting. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
It barely fits.
But that was some sweet precision.
Josh knows what I want. I just tell him which way I want the engine to go.
That's definitely a skill set.
So I just got to tell Josh which way I want the engine to go. And I'm like, can't go any more this way, but I want it to go this way. He's like, oh. We got the engine sitting in there now, and it's a tight fit, but it'll go. Now we just need to get the rest of the engine mounts together, get those torqued down. Then we got to start working on putting on all the radiator hoses, charge air lines, hook the exhaust up, hook some wiring up. We got to put the AC compressor and alternator on, and put all this wiring and the hydraulic line for the fan drive. Got to get the fan drive in place. Put the driven fan drive on, get the fan and all that hooked up, get the intake hose on, get the starter hooked up, get this thing filled full of oil. We need to change the oil filter on it, and then we'll be putting some coolant in this thing. Patty, what are you doing? This is the combine of doom.
Tear the back apart.
This is the one the chopper got ripped off because combine backed into the auger cart, and it did some damage.
Chopper delete.
Full chopper delete. Frame rails are bent. Yeah, you can really see the bend in that one. Man. So what all are you doing to this, Patty?
Tear both the rear side panels off and the back, and pull the fuel tank out of it, pull the frame rails, and replace all that and whatever else I find.
Are you doing a fuel tank too, or? Mm-hmm. Oh boy, you're gonna have the whole butt off this combine. All of it. Whew. That's gonna be a project, sir.
Mm-hmm.
We got both your engines done though.
Thank God.
I didn't get a chance to catch everybody up with that, but
both run great.
Both run great.
One went home and one's waiting to be sold.
Sweet. Well, you got quite the work to do here, Patty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go do engine things. Little update on the Rak'd audio speaker here. Ran it for 2 weeks on and off in the shop before the light finally went red, and I charged it back up to full charge. But you guys can still get this 10% off if you go to Rak'd Audio. Get Rak'd.com and then use the promo code ZK10 to get 10% off the speaker. I highly recommend it. So right now we're torquing these engine mounts to 240 foot-pounds, and I'm gonna have Joseph go around and torque all those up. And then we'll work on getting the coupler back there onto the flywheel. Right, so the engine mounts are torqued. Now we're working on getting this drive shaft coupler into the flywheel back here. It's hard to see, but we got a bunch of bolts that we got to put in on there. I got my engine turner back in so I can rotate the flywheel if needed. So we got all these bolts that we need to put in there. I got a strap around that shaft up here that's help hoisting that up. So we just got to get some bolts aligned and started in there and tighten them all down. So we got all the coupler bolts in and Loctited and torqued down on the back. I got Joseph putting the exhaust pipe back on with a new gasket and clamp. I'm going to be on this side. I already got the chassis connector for the ECU hooked up there. I'm going to get the starter hooked up. So you got the exciter wire here, ground, power, hook up to that. There's a big shield that goes over the ECU that we're going to put on. Then I'm going to hook up the fuel lines up here to the filter housing. And then I think before I put the alternator and accessory drive on, I'm gonna work on getting the fan driven in and the fan drive. So let's get that done. All right, well, we made some progress here. We got the air intake pipe on up there, starter's done, fuel lines are done. Got the fan drive in. That's a good time. Those are super duper heavy, but you know, the whole reason we did the timing cover, because once I got the fan drive in, the new fan drive in after the old one failed, this shaft would move back and forth. It was loose inside there because that bearing cup was wallered. So that's what's keeping that shaft in place. But new one's in, it's solid, we're good to go. Got the big heavy dry style driven in there. What else did we get done? Got the lower radiator hose on, got the charge air pipe on, got new upper radiator hose and clamps, brackets, exhaust pipes on. The only thing we got left to do is we got to change the oil filter, fill this thing full of oil. I need to put the EGR straps, the EGR cooler straps on. Got to put the outlet pipe and the EGR valve on to finish up the EGR cooler. And then, you know, of course, filling this thing up with oil and coolant. And then we're going to have to go in and program the part number, serial number, and calibration codes of the injectors into the ECU. If you watched the previous video, I had a piece of paper that came with the injectors, and I talked about the information that has to be typed in the ECU. So we still got to do that. And then we'll prime her up, and hopefully this thing will fire up and run smooth. Oh, and I still got to get the AC compressor and alternator, accessory drive all into place, but that's no big deal. Still got to put the hose for the crankcase breather on, the hydraulic line here for the fan drive. What else do we got to do? I think that should be about it. Fan drive installed, got the fan on, belt, everything. Just got to run the wiring for the speed sensor on that side. I got Joseph over here. He's going to put the AC compressor on, the alternator on, and then we'll finish up the wiring for that. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and put the hold down straps for the EGR cooler and tighten all the pipes down, put the outlet pipe on, the EGR valve on. Okay, EGR cooler is in. Everything's torqued down, straps, outlet pipe, EGR valve in here, new gaskets, everything is torqued. That's ready to rock. Now we're going to change that oil filter, and Joseph's got the accessory drive all done on the other side, so I think we're about ready to just do an oil change and put coolant in this thing. Putting some blood in this beast. We're going to put 11 gallon in it, and then we'll check it. All right, it is time to fill this thing with coolant. Of course, I'm going to use the Milwaukee transfer pump, so we're going to pump 6 2.5 gallon jugs of coolant into this thing. Got a clear hose going up to the top of the tank. And yeah, this is going to make quick work of this. Okay. I put a 6.0 Forge battery in it. Boy, she's sucking her down. And done. So it would suck that 2.5 gallon down like it was nothing. That Forge battery in there, it really wakens that sucker up. So that is a super fast way to fill coolant into one of these things. A lot faster than pouring each one of those and going up and down the ladder. So that's a win. All right, so after I get the cooling system filled, I like to put it under pressure. So I've got this Astro pneumatic kit here, so I can put 15 PSI on it. It's a pretty nice little kit. It's kind of a master kit. It also has a vacuum fill tool on it as well. If I can get it open. Yeah. So it's kind of a master kit. Kind of adapts to literally every radiator or coolant tank out there that I've found. And then you got the vacuum filler right there if you want to vacuum fill something. These engines, you don't really have to vacuum fill them. They bleed the air out themselves pretty well through that de-aeration tank, but that's a pretty solid kit right there. So right now we pump it up to 15 psi, and we want to look and make sure we don't have any leaks on the engine, because I'd rather know about it now than once we get it fired up and warmed up and everything. Now it's time to calibrate the injectors. So we're going to be typing in that part number, the serial number, and the calibration code for each injector and what location it's in. See how I circled the location it goes in? So now we're going to be going through programming all those numbers in. All right, we're ready for the first startup here. Just going to watch, make sure we don't have any gushers, but we shouldn't, because we've already pressurized the fuel system. When we turn the key on, we'll be quiet. No codes so far, so we got everything plugged in. No coolant leaks. We pressure tested the system. So let's try to get this thing fired up. Man, it runs a lot smoother, way smoother. It was pretty rough and shaking a lot before I brought it in. Of course, you didn't get a chance to hear it then, but it was pretty rough. So we need to still check our oil level, verify that before we really give her the rip'ems. The rip'ems. All right, we got the oil level topped off, so we're gonna give her some more rip'ems, make sure she sounds good throughout the RPM range. All right, well, our engine runs really good, really smooth, definitely a lot better than it was before. The only thing I got left to do is put that hood on right there, but that's all the time that I got for this video. So until next time, keep that green iron moving.